Yo, 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 what's up, all you burners, stoners, and potheads out there? This is WeedMan 420 with the WeedMan 420 Chronicles. How are all you burners, stoners, and potheads doing out there in the land of weed? Mrs. WeedMan, how you doing?
Yo, 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 yo. I've always wanted to try that. I'm doing well. I am doing well.
That's great. We had some great weather in Illinois this week, and then all of a sudden the weekend hit, and it was gloomy. But we got out for a nice walk today and had some nice conversation because we were super stoked about doing this episode for you, as we always do every week. I posted something that Mrs. Weedman took a picture of, and it said, "We're all in this together." And it meant something to me when she sent me the picture to share that, and I really, truly believe that we're all in this together as one human race. There's just a lot of crap going on in the world, and we all just still need to be kind to one another. We still need to love one another. We still need to help our fellow human beings out in this world. So just remember that each and every day while you're out there, everybody, and just keep on loving on one another. And I want to thank everybody for sending us all these cool-ass DMs we've been getting and awesome emails. Keep them coming. I love it. Just thank you, everyone, for reaching out and showing us some love. We really appreciate everything. Thanks for being big fans of Mrs. Weedman. She gets shy when I tell her that she get people asking about her. So thanks all you burners, stoners, and potheads for loving on us. We appreciate each and every day. It makes me smile. Let's get started here. This is a sad story. Prison death of Marvin Scott sparks anger among cannabis and racial justice activists. The untimely death of Marvin Scott in Texas jail after being arrested for a small amount of cannabis has sparked outrage among activists for racial cannabis and mental health justice. Marvin Scott's death in prison following his arrest for cannabis use is putting the spotlight on Texas and on the fact that medical cannabis patients and black people are unfairly targeted by the police in the United States. Marvin Scott was arrested in March of this year over a misdemeanor possession amount of less than 2 ounces of cannabis. He was taken to the hospital for allegedly acting erratically, but was taken to jail where he died. Scott was 26 years old. Following the incident, 7 of the officers involved with the arrest have been fired due to the alleged involvement of his death. Marvin Scott suffered from schizophrenia and, according to his family, was experiencing an episode during his arrest. While no official cause of death has been released, Scott was restrained in a bed, pepper sprayed, and was forced to wear a spit mask during the time in prison. Some have speculated that the cause of death was suffocation, although this has not been confirmed by the authorities and experts working on the case. He was using cannabis to self-medicate after 2 years of diagnosis with schizophrenia, Lee Merritt, his family's lawyer, explained. Here in a largely white area in Allen, Texas, Marvin Scott stood out. He was even given the benefit of the doubt as someone who needed to go to the medical facility. According to Merritt, a civil rights activist, racial profiling and discrimination played a part in the arrest. Black folks are 3.64 times more likely to be arrested than white people for cannabis, according to the American Civil Liberties Union study. Though both groups use the substance equally, in the state of Texas specifically, Texas Normal reports that black people are 2.6 times more likely to be arrested for cannabis possession. Nobody should be dying in a jail cell because they had plants on them, said Texas Normal Executive Director Jax Finkel, and reflects to what we've seen a lot of across the country and in Texas. Texas Normal reports that black people in the state make up almost 30% of all cannabis possession arrests, as of data collected in 2017. As the recent Black Lives Matter protests have revealed, these statistics remain consistent throughout the years and across the country. I don't want to say that this will make it a carefree and all of a sudden racial disparity will disappear, because we know there's more work to be done, Finkel said. Cannabis is just one part of the conversation when we're talking about social justice. While Merritt claims the officials have been doing some work for change policies and make sure that things don't happen again, he admits that there's still a lot more work that needs to be done for things to be equitable. The Dallas chief of police has stated that he's passing new policies so that someone is found with a little cannabis, as Marvin Scott was. The policy is not to arrest them, Merritt said. This is an opportunity to address the disparities in cannabis policing and the consequences of that. The damage that the federal government has done with the war on drugs represents ongoing policies. As more racial injustices involving cannabis to come to light, the push for federal legalization and end to prohibition and the expungement of criminal records for those who have been charged and convicted with cannabis-related crime gains steam. At the very least, many in the United States are hopeful for the federal decriminalization of cannabis, especially since more and more people become educated on the racist roots of prohibition. The next few years will tell the difference, and we can all dream that this may become a reality. So Marvin Scott, please rest in peace. What happened to you is cruel. And we're seeing this not just in Texas, but across the country. People are still getting arrested for low-level nonviolent cannabis crimes, and he had schizophrenia.
And if I could segue off of that for a minute, I mean, mental health is far from an understood circumstance, right? I don't even know if you would consider it a circumstance, but we've had some experience with family members and with mental illness and suicide attempts and just being in manic states. And I will just tell you firsthand experience that when someone is in a manic state, whether they're schizophrenic or undiagnosed, they are not themselves. They are in a much different place. And however these police addressed the situation, you're not speaking to somebody that is in control of their mind at the time.
100%.
And you're not even who you are. It's if you've ever been around somebody that's in this manic state or the schizophrenic state, it's almost as if they don't know you. And everybody becomes an enemy almost because they're just in such a terrible, bad place. And until our police can learn more about mental illness, I mean, we as people don't know enough about mental illness. And then you've got people who are out to enforce laws and keep the people safe, right? Then they're trying to do their job. But if they don't understand mental illness, which even people like us who have had so much experience with it firsthand, we still don't understand it. So now you take someone who has had no experience and has had no training, no conditioning to these things, and then they're going to arrest somebody in this really terrible state of mind. They don't know how to handle the person. I actually sat in maybe 10 years ago, could be 15 years ago. I sat in on a pretty progressive meeting at a library, and it was the local police chief for that suburb of Chicago. And I was just like, I just wanted to commend this guy because he was trying to integrate into his police department mental health training. And they would have like one of these mental health advocates come to any emergency where they might be dealing with somebody who might be in a traumatic state, so that they could have some conditioning. They could have someone there that knew how to cope and deal with these people, because the last thing they need is to be arrested.
Right.
And so whatever happened to this guy that he is now gone, it's mental health. And
right.
Like the weed wasn't, they just didn't know how to handle it.
Right.
That's apparent, right?
But the poor Mr. Marvin Scott
and
died in prison.
he's died.
Yeah.
Right.
Because they didn't recognize it.
Yeah, and they just don't know how to deal with it.
Right, and family probably didn't get there in time.
Yeah, and I mean,
to let them know.
Yeah, and oftentimes they're so worked up when they're in this like manic state that they are aggressive. They're very aggressive, but it's not because they're aggressive. It's because they're mentally ill.
Right. So
and they just need to be handled properly. So I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. That's all right. Well, rest in peace.
Rest in peace,
Mr. Marvin Scott. We pray for you and your family, and just
hopefully his family gets the justice that they
and hopefully
deserve.
They, because of what happened, they can build from this and hopefully move forward with mental health training and show that cannabis helped him. And that was his medicine, and that's because states not being decriminalized. States not having at least medical cannabis laws, which all states should have some kind of medical cannabis law now. It's time. So that just proves it right there again. He probably never would have been arrested if he had his medical card and he was using cannabis as a medicine, first and foremost. So, but we're going to smoke. I just wanted to read that first before we smoked because I thought it was very important to talk about a young man at 26 years old that lost his life to mental illness and to what happened to him in prison. So
anybody who is dealing with somebody who has mental illness, a really good support group is called NAMI, National Association of Mental Illness, and they are a huge resource group. They have all sorts of advocates that are there to help and guide you in directions that you may need to help your family or friend that is in need of help. So, NAMI.
And that's why all you stoners, burners, and potheads is why Mrs. WeedMan is my co-host, number one, because I wouldn't have remembered that. So thanks, Mrs. WeedMan.
Every year they do, in major cities, they do the Out of the Darkness Walk. That is a support walk for family members of victims of suicide, or just if you've dealt with people who have struggled with suicide and thankfully haven't succeeded. It's a walk that they can also do as a survivor. So pretty neat. Look it up.
That is awesome.
I'm
Because
gonna
we're
smoke.
going to smoke our own homegrown Louis 1 or WeedMan 420 experiment. And I told you I would read you my test results back that I got from Orgo Labs when we did the testing on it. So before I smoke, I just want to let you know it was about 14% THC, but not high. But the cool thing about this is the terpene profile in
Yeah,
clean.
that's wrong.
Yeah, that's a clean bowl.
Oh my lord.
Very clean. And so with this strain, there is a terpene that I've never heard of called fenchone. If I pronounced that correctly, it comes from anise or fennel, and it had almost 30% in there, and it helps with anxiety, stress. Very nice downer terpene. It also had 12.3.8% limonene. Had myrcene in there at almost 12%. Caryophyllene at 11%. B-pinene and A-pinene, 6 and 5% of each of those. Terpene, 4.6%. Apheledrine at almost 4%. Carnine at 3%, humulene at 2%, and then it had 9% of other terpenes that aren't listed on here. I have to say that this strain, and I'm not bragging that I grew it myself, but it is very, very nice. It's a very nice, mellow strain. It's not very high in THC, and like I've told you all that I've gotten high on 14% to all the way to 36%, and sometimes I get higher on the 14% than I do on the 36%.
Well, it has such a spectrum, a variety of terpenes.
Yes.
Did you say the first one is fennel? Like, is that
It comes from fennel and anise.
like a derivative of the herb?
It's just the terpene that's in those those plants. And terpenes are the smell, the flavor, all that stuff.
Right.
So it's what you. So that was the number one, almost 30%. And I showed that to a grower, guy who I met, and he was like, "I never even heard of that terpene before." So Wes, we got a terpene in there that the beans that I got from you grew this terpene. So hopefully when I grow it again, because I do have some beans left from you, that we get the same kind of terpene profile. We'll see. We'll see if I grow exactly the same. I'm going to smoke. Mrs. WeedMan's just going to talk for about 2 seconds while I blow up this bowl, y'all.
Well, we were realizing we're going to talk a little bit later about cannabis and dreaming. And we were talking today about our dreams because we do notice that sometimes we don't dream, sometimes we do. And this last week, for whatever reason, I've had pretty active dreams. And so I was like, what are we smoking, by the way? So we were smoking grape.
No, we were smoking Gorilla Cake.
Gorilla Cake.
That was given to us by a home grower. So, oh, by the way, if any of you home growers out there want to send us a nug to rate on the show, let me know. I'd be happy to grab a nug from any of you all just to rate your strain. If you'd like that to happen, I would love to. I mean, I don't know if all you all want to keep on hearing me talk about my strain that I'm smoking. Oh, by the way, Majin Fujita, both. It's a very, very yeah. So it basically I put them to flower. On a week 2, they came and grew balls. They both were males. Very, 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 very upset. It just more upsetting because they were looking so good. I was going into my second week of flower. They were just like, oh, God, they were to die for. So when you're buying beans and you're buying phenos and you're buying seeds online from people, make sure you're getting feminized seeds. Make sure all your seeds are feminized. I'm not blaming this person who I got these seeds from at all. I'm sure there's some female seeds in there, but now it's a crapshoot when I grow, which sucks. So I'm going to grow some outdoors in about another couple weeks, plant these outdoors and see how it goes. And then if they come out males again, no harm, no foul, I could just throw them away, which sucks. But yes, I'm very disappointed. Majin Fujita.
So for anyone who may not have heard, we have a little home grow tent. So here in Illinois, we can grow 5 plants at a time.
Yep.
5 plants over 12 inches. So you can have a couple of seedlings going.
5 plants over 5 inches and higher.
Right.
Yeah. So you said 12, but it's fine.
12?
Yeah.
Oh, over 5 inches?
They have to be 5 inches or more.
Right.
You can grow.
So you could have little seedlings. Like at your last 2 weeks of growing, you could start your seedlings for your next batch. So you have a little less.
Yes, continuous grow.
Yeah. So we only have 2 plants growing because we grew 3 and found it was more than we necessarily needed,
Or it
and
was
you wanted
too
to be able to
big.
get
Yeah.
bigger. You want to get fuller, see if the plants would have more space to grow.
Yep. More
So it is a
canopy
tent
growth.
that's supposed to hold 6 plants, but they would be tiny.
No. Yeah, they would be
They'd be
tiny.
small.
Yes, basically in this tent, 2 to 3 tops. In this tent that I have,
But
it's
they
only,
advertise it as, an up to 6.
No way.
It's
No
a
way.
4 by 6 by 6 tent. So anyway, for anybody who is exploring, just check out your state laws. And we did most of our shopping. It was during COVID, so we did do most of our shopping for equipment online.
Yeah.
So we didn't support mom and pop businesses. But honestly, we didn't even find anything local.
We did support one mom and pop business, our tent. I'm not going to give them a plug.
That was a small.
That was a mom and
company?
pop shop. Yeah, that was most of the stuff. I mean, we bought online. A couple of things were mom and pop shops.
Soil we bought
Yeah.
local. I mean, wherever we could, we bought
Right.
local. But stores, everything wasn't open. Shopping wasn't easy. Supplies weren't easy here. So anyway, it's fun. Now we're gonna try an outside grow.
You're allowed to grow outside in Illinois. It cannot be shown to the public. So I'll have to keep.
It has to be somewhere
We have a
obstructed.
6-foot fence, so we'll be able to grow at least 5 feet and let them grow out, then up.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm excited to try an outdoor grow. So I'm looking forward to it. So
Yeah, but interesting because you probably thought you bought feminized seeds, didn't you? Were they advertised as feminized seeds?
when I asked them, I said I need feminized seeds,
And we got balls.
and I got ballies.
You got
You know.
balls. Oh well.
Yep.
He was really crushed. He kept walking by his tent.
For about a week,
Yeah.
I was very,
I
very.
miss my plants.
I
every
was
time.
so upset. I remember
so
talking
sad.
to Dom Boy and T and Polly, and I was like, they were the first. Besides you, they were the first people to know.
Mm-hmm.
And T, because we're big nerds, we both love. And Dom Boy, we're nerds. We all love Dragon Ball and Vegeta and stuff like that. And for a week, I was just very, very
So
upset.
sad.
Yes, it was not good. It was like someone actually passing away. You raise them just like you raise a pet.
It's a plant.
It doesn't matter.
That's a little dramatic.
But that plant is my medicine.
I know.
So to me, it means
just
something.
sad.
It was very
They were
sad.
beautiful plants.
Oh my gosh, they were so beautiful, so
were.
beautiful.
Sad.
In March, it was Women's History Month, and we had some great guests. We had a great guest on, Ellen, and we focused a lot about women in the month of March. But I want to keep this going. So I want to make sure that women are always recognized, minorities are always recognized on this show. And we're going to always talk about good things that is happening in the industry and some bad things. But women in cannabis is important. I have a wife in front of me who's in cannabis with me, and it's very important. And in life and in that we are all created equal, and we all get treated equal pay, equal work. We all work hard. We all work the same. It doesn't matter if you're a man, woman. We should all make the same amount of money for the same job. So what people are not talking about in cannabis with women?
Well, it's just really that cannabis is undergoing a reputation makeover. Public perception has gradually shifted to cannabis products being viewed as respected medicine and wellness products instead of illegal drugs. These changes in attitudes are likely due to a variety of factors, including new legal markets and increased access, available educational materials, numerous scientific studies, and overall more significant conversations of safety and use on various media platforms and forums. As perceptions have shifted, the demographics of cannabis consumers have become more diverse in terms of age, gender, and socioeconomic status. What many had perceived as a male recreational interest is now becoming a product for all. Interestingly,
That was a big
Yeah.
word.
sometimes us, like I will say, like some reading can be a little bit of a struggle when you're high.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like getting those.
Especially when you first get high.
Yeah, and then you get cotton mouth, and then long words are like,
Oh, salute! We're drinking some wine.
salute.
Sauvignon
Ching-ching.
Blanc by
Ching-ching.
Satoshi
Hold on, guys.
Michelle. Salute.
Okay, so interestingly, recent data shows something new. Increased numbers of female consumption and spending habits over the past few years. Let's take a moment to highlight these increases in female cannabis consumption and how brands will need to adapt to fit the new consumers' needs. And really, as I read that, it was like, that's really true. Like Your girlfriends didn't have weed when you were in high school or college or, your adult life. It was always the guys.
The girl I dated in high school was a stoner.
She was a stoner.
She always
I
had
had
weed.
I had girlfriends that
She
were
always
stoners.
had weed. Always.
But it was just, I don't know, there is kind of like a mental image. Like when you think of someone smoking, it's a guy. Like that mental image.
It was kind of crazy because she had very bad migraines, and back then you didn't know that weed helped. But she smoked every day, and when she and when she got a migraine, she'd smoke, and it would go
And it
away.
helped.
It was crazy.
Wow.
So pretty good.
And that was before anyone considered it
100%.
medical. Well, the numbers don't lie. Data shows that women now represent the fastest growing consumer segment within the industry, and they are spending larger amounts of money on cannabis and gaining a larger market share. In fact, women across all legal age groups drove cannabis sales in the first 3 months of 2020, with the average amount spent by females doubling by 50% by the end of the quarter. Data from a recent 2021 Valentine's Day weekend continues to show the increase in female consumption, even amid the COVID-19 pandemic and financial crisis, with a 3% year-over-year shift towards female purchasers. Women made up over 38% of sales in 2021, growing from 35% in 2020.
Damn.
That's pretty cool. Women have traditionally driven most household purchases, with them becoming the fastest growing consumer segment in the industry. Cannabis, CBD, and hemp brands will need to consider female preferences when evaluating their brand identity and bringing new products to market. We already are seeing this playing out in the in the CBD industry, with both ingestible and topical products geared toward women, including products for female-specific issues like pain from sex and menstruation. Female consumers have traditionally expected higher levels of customer service. With many becoming canna-curious, brands will need to be more responsive to the female experience, tailoring not only products but also the shopping experience, product education, and customer service to meet their needs. This female influence will lead to an unmistakable impact on cannabis branding. The past decade has seen another big trend in overall consumption habits, with buyers seeking products from socially responsible brands that practice sustainable behaviors and have philanthropic initiatives. More recently, consumer needs have evolved to seek brands that provide in-depth information on all of the ingredients, from the ingredient's origin to the journey across multiple businesses and locations, through to the manufacturing process and distribution destinations. An easy comparison to make is the rise in farm-to-table restaurants and offerings. Consumers today want to know where the products come from and how they were traced, transported, and kept to standards. These consumer demands prompt businesses everywhere to build complete transparency and accessibility into their supply chain, driving the need for these companies to have reliable seed-to-sale tracking platforms. This transparency also creates more confidence for new users entering the market, as it addresses concerns about product safety. As more legal cannabis markets come online, and as public perception of products becomes less taboo, cannabis brands will need to evolve to meet the various unique demographic groups' needs. It's exciting to see how the industry continues to grow as the stigma of cannabis is dismantled. Pretty neat.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Here's an article that kind of concerned me. Biden is too busy to decriminalize cannabis, Vice President Harris says. Too busy.
He's too busy.
Maybe I'm too busy to pay my taxes. Maybe I'm too busy to vote in the next election.
It doesn't work like that, right?
Maybe I'm too busy to, not do anything. But the thing is, this has been talked about since November, and he hasn't brought it. Anybody in the White House has brought this up since November. And Vice President Kamala Harris was interviewed by the San Francisco Chronicle and was asked about cannabis policy and said, "We haven't yet taken that on, despite campaign promises to push for reforms like decriminalization and expunging prior cannabis records. Honestly, right now, we've been focused on getting people food, helping them stay in their apartments or in their homes, getting kids back to school, getting shots into arms," she said. That has been all-consuming, which is great. Not taking anything away from that. Amazing. People are getting vaccinated every day. Things are getting better. This is the first time either Harris or President Joe Biden has publicly talked about cannabis since the November election. But while it's the case that the administration has prioritized addressing the COVID-19 crisis, it's also true that the president has undertaken efforts on other issues such as environment, infrastructure, and immigration. All things that were subject of campaign pledges that have now begun being translated into action, 100%. Cannabis, on the other hand, has taken a back seat. Advocates have argued that cannabis policy and coronavirus relief are not mutually exclusive. For one thing, ending federal cannabis prohibition could free up more states to set up tax and regulated systems for cannabis, creating needed jobs and revenue to aid in their economic recovery. I'm going to give you some numbers in a little bit, too. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi last year defended House Democrats' decision to include language in the COVID package that would protect banks that service any cannabis industry from being penalized by federal regulators. She said cannabis is a therapy that has proven successful. Beyond that, providing those protections would help cannabis businesses access the banking system. Meanwhile, they could stop relying on cash transactions that puts workers and consumers at great risk of being infected with the virus. Legalization would also reduce unneeded policy interactions and incarcerations that can play a role in spreading the virus. Those arguments notwithstanding, Harris' new comments represents other sign that cannabis reform is not seen as a priority by this administration. Biden's opposition to adult use legalization has not changed. The White House press secretary said recently the administration has also faced controversy after it is reported that multiple staffers were fired or otherwise punished for admitting to prior cannabis use as part of their background check process.
Jeez.
Harris, meanwhile, might have adopted the president's views on cannabis, according to Bloomberg. While she sponsored the comprehensive legalization bill during her time in the Senate, she went silent on the issue since joining Biden's ticket and more pivoted to discussing his plans to decriminalize rather than legalize while campaigning. Taken together, the administrator's lack of focus on cannabis has come as a disappointment to advocates. Absolutely. But in the absence of the White House action, Congress has made some time for cannabis and should bring legislation to the fore soon. Chuck Schumer has got a bill appropriation released shortly, and House Judiciary Chairman Gerald Nadler of New York plans to reintroduce his proposal, the Cannabis Opportunity Reinvestment and Expungement, the MORE Act, as well. So, I don't know.
They just used it to get a vote.
Probably from us stoners, burners, and potheads, but I you also need to make sure that we hold, like I said on a couple episodes back, we hold the people we put into office accountable for what they say they're going to do. And here's why. Okay, I live by this. Your word is your bond. It's all you have. It's all you got is your word. Remember that. And if you say you're going to do something, you do it. That's it. I live by that every day. I show up, and what I say I'm going to do, it's my bond. So remember that. President Biden, Kamala Harris, remember that. People don't forget. The ultimate guide to cannabis legalization in New York, the key dates to know which is going to be happening soon. It's exciting stuff. New York became the 15th state to legalize cannabis on March 31st. The market has the potential to be worth $7 billion once fully established. I'm going to say something. $7 billion is a lot of money. People need to be able to own their own businesses. Don't give all the licenses to all major corporations. Let the stoners, burners, and potheads that have been supporting cannabis since forever get a piece of this. There's a guide. There's a bunch of guides listed on the internet you can read. So sales are expected to begin sometime in 2022. New Yorkers now can possess and smoke cannabis if they're over the age of 21. Medical cannabis is already legal in New York. So that is dope. New York, man, there's a lot of people there. It's going to be one of the biggest markets. It's going to be absolutely crazy with tourism once everything gets back to normal. There's going to be pot shops all over the place. Oh, man. Just don't overtax it, please, like Illinois has done. It's just crazy for recreational. Just do a fair, flat tax, 10, 15% on everything. Just make it right, okay? Don't charge like $100 for a half gram or a gram of a cartridge. It's just ridiculous. The people just go to the black market again. What's cool about those, I think in the bill, you're going to be able to home grow. You will be able to home grow in the bill.
I'm sorry. I have the giggles.
You do have the giggles. It's good weed, isn't it? Here's another cool thing about New York. NYPD gives cops new orders to let people smoke weed in public. Meanwhile, the cops on the force will not be allowed to toke up themselves. That kind of sucks. But the only way they can arrest you now for cannabis in New York is if they see you selling it, like passing money, and they pass bud. So that is awesome. New York, man, I'm going to be smoking big fat doinks on the streets. I'm telling you what, when I come out there. You all right there, Mrs. WeedMan?
I'm all right.
Take a break, a little sip of wine.
Yeah, should I?
Mrs. WeedMan is baked. Illinois
It's pleasant.
crushes March sales over $100 million. $109 million. $33 million of that came from out-of-state resident sales. Mrs. WeedMan is making funny faces over here. $33 million came from out-of-state sales. Thank you, Iowa. Thank you, Wisconsin. Thank you, Missouri. Thank you, Indiana. Appreciate you.
Come on over and visit
Just
anytime.
Anytime you want. 2 million, over 2 million items were sold in March.
Dang. 200 million?
Yeah. 75 million of that came from in-state residents. That's just crazy amount of weed being smoked in the state of Illinois. Just crazy.
That's crazy.
Oh my God.
Because there's still black market weed too.
Yeah.
So think about that.
But,
I mean, like, just think about, like, overall.
Here's
how
what
much
I'm going to say. Remember when companies were saying they were afraid that home growers were going to take business away?
It's not taking it away.
100%.
Who can? And if it is,
$109 million.
Yeah.
Come on, man. If you any state does not allow you to grow your own cannabis in your own home, they just greedy. Greedy.
They're making plenty of money.
Plenty of money. $100 million of that. Like, you know how much taxes are going back to Illinois because of that? Big money. Big money. And I'm going to read some taxes of 2020, what states are making taxes shortly. New Mexico becomes another state to legalize cannabis. Go New Mexico. They're going to, I guess, July or something. The governor was talking about like having like a big celebration on the day they signed the bill. So be prepared, New Mexico, to light up some big fat doinks. Here's an awesome one. South Carolina senator threatens to block every single other bill if medical cannabis doesn't get a vote. Good for him. In South Carolina, senators move to block a bill to legalize medical cannabis. And sponsors said on Tuesday that they would use their power to stop every other piece of legislation on the chamber's calendar in protest. We're going to get the bill passed, Senator Tom Davis, Republican who filed the South Carolina Compassionate Care Act, said at a press conference with supporters. And if there is some up on the Senate floor that will still in this reefer madness drug mentality and block the way of the bill, I will exercise my rights as a senator to respond in a kind to every single other bill on the calendar. Good for you, Tom Davis. Good for you.
Go Tom.
Go Tom. Speaking of the state of Texas, lawmakers tackle cannabis decriminalization, medical cannabis, and hemp in committee hearings. Too little, too late, because a gentleman got killed because of cannabis in your state. So 2 bills, HB 99 and HB 441, will further prevent arrest over cannabis possession, which is an important component to the Texas police officers are allowed to place people in jail following arrest for low-level misdemeanor crimes. As we talked about in another article. Texas lawmakers unanimously approved medical cannabis bill expansion in the committee, though, also. But they're still not voting on it. They're still not getting it done. So these are just talks. They're in process of getting shit done. We'll see what happens. Alabama, roll tide. House committee approves medical cannabis legalization bill already passed the Senate. So they're moving forward, and they look like they're going to be a reciprocatory state where you'll be able to go with a medical card also. But the whole thing is, though, I'm still very confused if they're going to let you smoke flower, eat edibles, or they're just going to let you stick stuff up your ass. So it's not really, so this is just crazy to me. My guy in Alabama, I appreciate you reaching out. This is requires regulators to hold a local public hearing before issuing a cannabis business license. Eliminate sorry, I'm baked. Reciprocity. Sorry, I'm so baked right now. For out-of-state patients, Mr. WeedMan is laughing so bad right now. Pronounce it for me.
Reciprocity.
Thank you. That's why you're on this show with me. For medical cannabis outside of Alabama, would not have their recommendations accepted in the state. Allow the state health officers to appoint one member of the Cannabis Regulatory Commission. Reduce the percentage of cannabis tax revenue that would go to cannabis research from 30 to 15%. Require a review to state contract for seed to sale tracking company every 5 years. Allow licensed physicians and pharmacists to have access to the seed to sale tracking and patients database. Let municipalities hold votes to opt out, allowing cannabis businesses in their areas. Counties could make the same decision. Clarify the definition of who constitutes a cannabis caregiver with respect to age and relationship to the patient. Clarify the bill's to intent is to create medical cannabis program and should not be interpreted as opening for recreational legalization. Add transparency requirements for cannabis business applicants. So that's just some of the stuff that's on the bill. So we'll see what's going on with Alabama. Virginia... this is dope. They're pushing it back. You weren't going to be fully recreational until like summer of 2024, but it looks like this summer, with the vote is done. Looks like they're going to sign it in July. That is freaking amazing. First Southern state to go recreational, Virginia. Pretty good. Go Virginia. Delaware cannabis activists stage boycott of medical dispensaries that testified against legalization bill. Delaware cannabis activists are mounting a boycott against 4 medical cannabis operators in the state after representing of those companies testified in opposition to adult use legalization bill last month. Man, oh man, oh man! Come on, Delaware! Come on, 4 dispensaries. Why would you not want to just wreck in your state? Just trying to be greedy, you know? Doesn't make any sense. South Dakota High Court to hear recreational cannabis cases this month because of everything that's going on. The people in South Dakota voted in November for rec and medical in that state at one time, the first state to do that. And now the committees up there, the House and the Senate, are saying no. So now they're bringing it to the High Court. So we'll see what happens. This is going to be an ongoing thing in South Dakota. Same thing with North Dakota. Still shit going on up there, man. Get your shit together. Legalize it. Here's something cool. Nevada lawmakers approve cannabis bill to allow on-site consumption lounges. I think you should be able to smoke. I think there should be lounges throughout the whole country. Like in Amsterdam, we have the coffee shops where you can go. It's no booze.
Like a cigar bar or a hookah shop.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They should start doing that across the country so people have a place to go smoke. Here's a big one. How much do you all think states are making in cannabis tax revenue? I'm just going to read some states to you right now. California, $474 million. Washington State, $469 million. Colorado, $307 million. Oregon, $133 million. Nevada, $105 million. Massachusetts, $51.6 million. Illinois, which started sales in 2020, took in about $200 million, all from cannabis-related taxes and fees in 2020. That state is using 10% of the money to pay off its backlog of unpaid bills. What states could be making if they made it recreational? Florida could be making $448 million. Pennsylvania, $224. Ohio, $220. Georgia, $198 million. Minnesota, $122 million. Missouri, $119 million. Wisconsin, $117 million. In New York, where the government has made a deal to legalize adult-use cannabis, state officials expect legalization to create $4.2 billion industry that brings about $350 million in tax revenue. Imagine if they got it up to $7 billion. It'd be almost $1 billion in tax revenue they'd be able to get if they get it up that high. And every state has laws what they're supposed to be doing with those tax dollars. When I finish my rules and regulations at the college I'm going to I'll let you know the Illinois and what everything they're going for, and you can look it up online what they're supposed to be doing with the money. But I'm letting you all know now, you need to keep track and you need to make sure they're doing what they say they're going to do, because if not, and this is what I've heard, you need to look into it. You need to find out if they're really putting the money where they say it's going to be or it's going in someone's pocket. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I've been having some fucking weird dreams lately. Weird dreams. Like fall off a cliff and I wake up and I jump up and I wind up landing on Mrs. WeedMan for real.
Whoa.
Like I'm in my dream. The other night, I literally fell. I dig down the steps in my dream
Mm-hmm.
and I literally like jumped like out of the covers. Like I flew off the bed.
That's nuts.
And fucking crazy.
I've been having
It's been happening a
dreams,
lot
too.
lately. You've been having there goes periods of times like we go to bed, we take cannabis, we consume cannabis before we go to sleep every night, and it helps us sleep better. But the last couple of weeks, and this is only the last couple of weeks, and we weren't smoking our strain, we were smoking that gorilla cake, and I hadn't had dreams in a while, like crazy wild dreams. The last like 2 weeks since we were smoking that gorilla cake, like fly off the cliffs and land, and all of a sudden like I hit the ground and I jumped up like out of bed, like literally like shook. I'm surprised I didn't wake you up. So does using cannabis for sleep cause crazy dreams, Mrs. Weedman?
Well, apparently it does. Like we were just talking about a little earlier that like for a while if we were commenting, I said I don't know the last time I had like a real vivid dream. And in this last week, I've been having a bunch. Like every day, I'm waking up like, whoa, what did I dream about last night? You know, those like super vivid dreams where like I anyway, wake myself up in the middle of it. Like I know I'm in a dream and I want to remember it. And I'm able to wake myself up, run myself through the scenario and say, okay, you're going to remember that. Go back to sleep, go back into the dream apparently, and wake up and remember absolutely nothing. Super, super crazy. So this last week has been like that. So if you've ever woken up from sleep and thought, what kind of dream did I have last night? Or maybe you've dreamt the same dream over and over again and you're curious. It's also possible that you woke up without any recollection of the dreams you had the previous night. This journalist went deep to analyze the fundamentals of dreams and clear the air about the role cannabis plays in influencing dreams. Yes, it can be a very emotional experience waking up from the same dream, especially if you don't remember the details. Regardless of the state of your dreamy experience, I believe we all want to be able to analyze our dreams. Before going further, it should be noted that there is a connection between your dreams and cannabis from an analytical perspective. As you go down that dream rabbit hole, you wouldn't want to wake up feeling distraught, and CBD can help with that. However, before we talk about the connection between cannabis and dreams, we must understand the meaning of dreams. What are they? Well, dreams happen in our subconscious, created by our minds as we sleep. Your dreams happen during your rapid eye movement as you sleep, otherwise known as REM, like the band. Well, the band is named after
It's the
REM.
end of the world as we know it.
And while you're in rapid eye movement, that phase of sleep, your brain is most active. Since your brain is highly active, it explains why you sometimes don't remember your dream's details when you wake up. A lack of remembrance makes you feel confused, dizzy, and emotional because you cannot recollect your subconscious information. Some people believe that dreams take us into our subconscious space to connect with our emotions, sort out deep-rooted issues, and better understand our emotions. Now, what are the different stages of sleep? We need to understand this before knowing the connection between sleep, dreams, and cannabis. There are different stages of sleep. When we go to sleep, our brain goes through 5 of them, and the REM we mentioned earlier is the longest stage. Stage 1 is light sleep, which happens when you drift in and out of consciousness. At any stage, anything can cause you to wake up from that. So it's just that like you're just drifting off. Stage 2, your brain's electrical impulses will start to slow down, ushering in stage 3. At stage 3, you will start to feel the delta waves at a greater frequency.
Ooh, I like the delta waves.
Yeah. I wonder what that means. These delta waves are high brain waves from the cortex, which is associated with deep sleep. Stage 4 happens when there is no eye movement or muscle activity. I never thought about that. Like when you sleep that there is, I know that you're still, but I guess I still feel like your body is doing things,
right?
But there's no muscle activity at all. And at stage 5, you will be in REM. And this is when your breathing gets irregular, your heart rate increases, your eyes will move rapidly, and your muscles will be temporarily paralyzed. That's freaking crazy. The REM stage can happen a couple of times as you sleep, depending on how long you sleep. A complete sleep cycle lasts for 100 minutes, and the first REM period will start between 70 and 90 minutes after you fall asleep. REM also lasts for 10 to 20 minutes, which means your dreams occur within this timeline, which is freaking crazy because I always thought that dreams that feel like it's hours and you can't get out of them and you're like stressing in the dream, they feel like they're forever, right?
Yeah, I actually have something just to
Oh,
let people
no.
listen to. So go ahead, finish.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
So to know that in real time, those moments in those dreams that like just feel like they're lasting an eternity and you can't get out of them are literally a long time. They're 10 to 20 minutes. And that's while you're dreaming. You wouldn't know at what point you're entering into REM because that is deep sleep. However, now you know that your dreams don't happen at stage 1. Therefore, whatever you dream about is from a place in your subconscious, inspired by the emotions, the information you feed your mind, and experiences, past or present.
Damn.
Yeah, I know. So what's the connection between dreams and cannabis? You might ask, right? Well, for years, cannabis has been known for having the capacity to suppress dreams due to the impact of THC on the brain. People who use cannabis frequently talk about how they see a decrease in REM when they sleep. But they also experience deep sleep, which means the person slips deeper into the subconscious level. This is not a bad thing because deep sleep is the most restful kind of sleep you will ever experience. And I have to say, hands down, yes. When you smoke weed before you go to bed, it doesn't matter if it's a sativa or an indica, but when you are ready to go to bed, you just sleep.
Yep.
You just sleep. And
Once
you-
I'm out,
Like you don't sit there and think and
Done
think and overthink and think some more and think and toss and turn and toss and turn and think.
once you
You just
finally,
freaking sleep.
you sleep.
And you wake up and you're like, shit, it's morning? How'd that happen? But you're like, oh, I feel pretty good.
You wake right up.
Boom, you're ready to go. No groggy. It's amazing. Well,
So,
Mr. Weedman
so
wants
wait.
to-
Let me
needs
ask you
to
a
do
question.
something
Let me
right
ask
now.
you a
What?
question.
What?
What stage of sleep do you think you were in when I recorded this?
Okay.
Wait, we gotta finish. Gotta finish.
The heck, Sam? I finally got you. Dude.
Okay, backstory.
Wait, we're both laughing. It's funny.
Okay, so that's Mr. Weedman recording me because I
So what stage
Have-
of sleep were you in on that?
I was in major REM sleep and I have these recurring dreams that apparently in my dreams I'm trying to get away. It's usually like if I'm really, really tired or stressed out, something like that. A lot going on in life. I'll have these like dreams where I'm in a super familiar place, but I'm looking across the street. So I'll be like Wacker Drive, like in, downtown Chicago, like Madison and Wacker. And I'm looking across the street and I'm like, I know that building. There's the L train and there's, the stores. Boom. I know that building. I got to get there. And I try to cross the street and I can't get across the street because it becomes like a Escher painting and there's stairs going in all different directions and every stair takes me away and I can't fucking get across the street. So in my sleep, I start moaning, apparently, like, nah, making these crazy noises.
Oh, everybody heard.
I know. So that was actual recording of one of those dreams. So that helps you understand.
Yes.
And so,
But you
Mr.
asked me
Weedman-
to. You asked me
Yes.
to wake up. Like if I
Yes.
ever heard you do that to record you.
I'm like, next
So I
time,
did.
let me sleep through it because Mr. Weedman would normally wake me because he
'cause I
knows
felt-
I'm distressed.
Yeah, I would wake her up right away.
He'd wake me, and I was like, just let it go and record it. I need to see if it sounds as stressful as it feels when I'm in that dream. It does.
There was,
Well, it's kind of funny.
I
though.
cut it down a little bit. I didn't want to play the whole thing, but
Oh my
it was
God.
actually a minute long, and for like a good 15 seconds, she was
And the breathing,
was
the rapid
moaning,
breathing, and
like
yeah.
like screaming, moaning.
And in my dream, I'm like yelling, but I can't. I know in my dream I'm not making like audible, like there's no words. It's just ma, ma. Like a goat. Sound like a A cow in a field.
Oh, Miss WeedMan.
Maybe
I
that's
love
what I'm
you.
supposed
so
to
glad
be.
we got to share that with everybody.
Well, now can we even get back on track? Well,
I'm
anyway.
back on track. I'm ready to go international news right now.
So wait. So basically, if you are having crazy dreams and you think it's because of the weed, just take a little CBD, have your smoke, or have your edible, whatever that's THC heavy, and then just before bed, take a dose of a
Little
good
dabble, do
CBD,
ya?
and they think that will kind of help suppress that from happening. There was more to this, but I think we covered.
I think we
enough.
covered it just enough.
We're good. Sorry you had to
It's all right.
experience that.
In Mexico, we were talking about how they got the bill passed, but now it looks like the senators are weighing in yet another extension of cannabis legalization deadline. They just want to figure out a couple more things, so we'll see if this gets passed in the next couple weeks. Hopefully. CBD boom spreads to Hong Kong as China resists cannabis on weekly, but CBD is booming there in cosmetics, beverages. New businesses are catering to customers who hope that the substance can ease the pain or soothe anxieties. Hong Kong's first CBD cafe, named Found, has boosted monthly sales fivefold since opening in June. So it's dope. Good for CBD. Good for China at least opening up something there. Hopefully they can maybe eventually figure out cannabis and THC. Cannabis in Greece. The new draft law currently on the desk of Ministry of Development and Investment is likely to change the equation, not only Greece itself on the cannabis question, but the rest of Europe. Greece is a fascinating development in the entire discussion of cannabis reform. The country has moved quietly along with the discussion as reform has come to Europe. The industry, of course, represents an absolute boom for the country, hit twice in at least 15 years with once-in-a-century economic wallops, first in banking meltdown in 28 and then now COVID. Tourism plays a huge role in Greece, and cannabis can help there. Medical cannabis vacay in Mykonos. Anyone beyond the immediate economic incentives now arriving in the country soon, thanks to the pro-cannabis economic development mindsets. There's another place where this will get very interesting. Greece is a major destination for European tourism already, especially Germans, but of course not limited to them. However, in Europe, healthcare crosses borders. The idea of cannabis and medical vacation in Greece or one of the islands is rather appealing. In the sense, indeed, Greece has the capacity to develop an industry that has long lagged in places like Spain, while obtaining a pass to cannabis clubs is not. Despite all efforts enshrine the Ivy Leaf impossible to obtain, even the visitors, the current dramatic situation on the ground is going to take at least 12 to 24 months to shake out. In the meantime, Greece is setting itself to be like fucking gangbusters over there. Here is what's even more interesting.
Is that what the article said?
Yeah.
They said like fucking gangbusters.
Fucking gangbusters.
Fucking A.
So actually, that was said by WeedMan. Sorry. It's dope that Greece is going to be. They're calling it the next Nevada of cannabis. Like how Nevada has their laws. They're talking about Greece going to be bigger and blow it up and be able to have lounges and smoke and just do it right. So when we went to Corfu, and I met that guy who was selling CBD in one of the shops there. I gave him a bunch of those 2.5 milligram sweet tarts, and he was like, I said, this is THC. You're selling CBD? Just fine. Try this. And I gave him like 4 or 5. And he ran out of the store, left the store empty to go to his buddy who worked at the restaurant next door to show him. Meanwhile, I'm sitting in the store going, where the fuck did this guy go?
Did?
He was so excited. Yeah. You were looking at shoes and,
I know.
and leather jackets and shit.
I was feeling the stones on the ground.
I was looking to see what they were
smooth.
selling. So, and
I have to tell you, if you haven't been to Europe, when you go, oh my God, I just wanted to rub all of the stone. Like the stone streets that were like,
oh my God, it was beautiful there.
Like a freaking 1,000-year-old stones. And they're like smooth like a baby's butt. It's like I really want to go back to Dubrovnik and lay down on the sidewalk and just hang out there for the day.
So
I want to lay down.
It was so smooth.
It's so amazing.
Oh yeah. Australian cannabis sales to surpass 150 million in 2021. Good for you, Australia. Now legalize that shit and let people just grow. Czech Republic medical cannabis sales surge, but market remains small. In 2020, roughly 150 pounds of medical cannabis flower was sold to patients in Czech pharmacies compared to 17 kilograms a year before, the data shows. That's pretty good. So, I mean, at least they're moving along with medical, and like you said, hopefully they can move more and more further. Go for you, Czech Republic.
Check.
The Thai government aims to ride high on global cannabis wave. Thailand will celebrate World Cannabis Day with a large convention in Bangkok. What's the capital of Thailand?
Bangkok.
As the kingdom further relaxes laws regarding the use of hemp in food and cosmetic products. Some 50 booths will set up cannabis business owners to present the products and strategies. A networking event is scheduled on the first day with a seminar with 14 industry experts that will take place on the second day. That's pretty cool. The second day of the event is on April 20th. 420, what?
Hey.
A number that has survived since the 1970s and is a slang term for cannabis for using cannabis. That's not true. I'm gonna read the story of 420 and how the number started on our 420 episode. So not everybody knows the true story. This year, Bangkok will partake. Large Thai companies intend to enter the budding market. Beverages giant Itchian Group has applied for a license to produce hemp-related products, according to Chairman. The producer of green tea drinks will introduce a new line of and receive the license. That's kind of cool. So they're just moving along in Thailand. That's awesome. I want to go there one day too. Didn't your mom go there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't wait. She said it was great. Speaking of moms, did you think we've gotten my mom baked on edibles?
Yes.
It was kind of funny.
It was fun.
Remember, she thought there was like a piece of brain on the floor
Yeah.
or something like that.
She
was
kept
whack.
wondering, what's on the floor? What's on the floor? I'm like, nothing. She's like, there's something on the floor, but she wouldn't touch it.
She ate
Yeah.
it.
She had an edible.
She had an edible. Now, there's a story about your mom. The only time I know I've heard that she smoked was at the Jimmy Buffett concert under
Yep.
the blanket with your sister.
Yep.
And she smoked and they got all giggly and paranoid. You guys had to leave.
Well, there was a lot of like pre-gaming. What is that called? Tailgating. In the in the parking lot, and so there was a lot of drinking. We were doing a lot of eating, and then there was a joint passed around, and everybody took a hit. And I had never seen my mom smoke, and I had never smoked with my mom. I had never smoked with anyone in my family, but everybody was smoking, and it was a fun night. We were all adults. We were out without our children at the time. You know, it was like just a fun family get together. And then it started raining. It was an outdoor concert, and it started raining, and so they were under a blanket, and everybody's giggly, and then all of a sudden, my sister was like, "Oh, I don't feel so good."
Too much.
She had too much.
Too
of
much
everything.
booze probably first, and then
Yeah.
smoke, and that's the killer. Death
And
for some people.
that was it. Party was over. My mom was okay.
Yeah, she was
My
all right.
sister was not okay.
Okay, gotcha. Well, anyway, speaking of moms,
Yeah, moms.
Guess
Guess what?
Mom, mommy,
Ladies.
mommy, mama,
Mommy,
mommy,
mom,
mamo.
mommy, mom. Ladies, we're on the map. Meet the new face of the cannabis industry, your mom. I love it.
Love it, love it, love it.
Since the start of the pandemic, cannabis use has skyrocketed. Hey. Americans alone have spent $18.3 billion dollars on cannabis products just last year. Just last year. And not every state is legal, and some states are very newly legal. $18.3 billion.
Crazy.
How many people are in the United States of America?
334 million, I think.
So more than everybody was smoking last year. Well, 71% over what they spent in 2019. So the industry improved by over 71% in 1 year. Meaning we, the people, needed a lot of weed to cope with 2020. According to a recent survey...
2020 actually didn't suck.
No, it really didn't.
It was a lot of
it's just
smoking going on.
Weird. According to a recent survey, many of those people are parents. A Harris poll published this December showed, and I would say that was reflective of 2020, December of 2020, showed 52% of respondents with children under age 18 said they had either begun consuming cannabis or increased their consumption of cannabis since the pandemic began. That's why Judy Yee and her team started Moms for Mary, a community blog in which mothers can share their experience using cannabis while raising children. Their mission? Use cannabis as a way of enhancing, not retreating from good parenting. Go Moms for Mary. I think that's great. In the same way that airlines tell you to secure your oxygen mask before helping children and those around you, I believe responsible cannabis use is a form of self-care, which leads to being a better parent and partner, Yee said. It's our aim to inspire those who are curious to discover how the plant can improve their overall well-being and contribute to ending the unfair stigma surrounding parents and responsible cannabis usage. Yee believes the uptick in cannabis use by parents this past year is due to the unprecedented challenges they have faced, juggling homeschooling, working from home, and running a household constantly filled with people. Yee said cannabis can be a welcome stress reliever for women on the brink of burnout. Almost overnight, moms like me found themselves juggling crazy virtual school schedules, working from home, taking on the role of caregiver, teacher, and earner all at the same time. The pursuit of being a good mom during the pandemic seemed laughable and completely unrealistic, Yee said. I try to carve out time in the evening to enjoy a cannabis beverage as I prepare dinner, which helped me compartmentalize my day. It was like a marker that the workday was winding down and my personal time was ramping up. That structure not only gave me something to look forward to, but also helped me to unwind and de-stress while staying alert and functional. On top of the increased demand for cannabis, Yee, who is also the CEO and co-founder of a cannabis beverage company called Kzen, said cannabis has also become more accessible for parents in the last year. Not only are more cannabis dispensaries delivering since the start of the pandemic, but many businesses are focusing on discrete products such as edibles and cannabis-infused drinks that are more easily and safely enjoyed at home. One such company is Kikoko, a top-selling female-owned cannabis product whose primary consumers are women ages 34 to 55. Amanda Jones, Kikoko's co-CEO, says they have seen the demand for their products rise in the past year, in large part because of their teas, mints, and tinctures. They are all smoke-free products. Parents feel more comfortable consuming around their kids. Jones added that another factor contributing to the success of their products this past year was that parents are looking for alternatives to alcohol for stress relief. There were so many memes flying around about the increase in wine consumption here in California that I think an alarm went off among moms, Jones said. This helped me become more open to low-dose cannabis alternatives to help relieve the stress, sleeplessness, and the focus that I needed to homeschool. And because alcohol is a neurotoxin and cannabis is a neuroprotective, moms and dads have been able to unwind and enjoy being with their children without the risk of a hangover. Of the parents surveyed in a recent Harris poll, 57% said their cannabis use had reduced or completely replaced their consumption of alcohol. That's amazing. Catherine Cannon, a plant integration specialist who works with patients using medical marijuana, said it could be a healthier alternative for parents seeking ways to wind down in the future, bearing in mind that for parents in certain social demographics, the weight of the stigma surrounding parents using cannabis may override its anxiety-relieving effects. More folks, parents included, are considering cannabis to relax. In many states, cannabis is safe and it's a legal alternative to alcohol or prescription medication. But speaking about cannabis use can be easier for some parents because there is transparency around cannabis use in the family, or a strong culture exists around the cannabis community. Quite the opposite can be true, though. Some parents unfairly face more stigma than others for using cannabis based on their social situation and the resources they have to support them. Since the negative view of parents using cannabis continues to be prominent in certain communities, even in states where it is legal, Yee, founder of Moms for Mary, said she is uncertain whether there will continue to be much interest in cannabis as normal life resumes. Well, I don't know. I think, I totally hear that, like, that we have a new audience. There's more people participating. But I think as the stigma, that has a lot to do with the stigma too.
Yep.
And so 2020 gave people, I think, maybe more time to be in front of news and current events and things. And so cannabis kind of shined in 2020. It was just something that, whether you were involved in cannabis or not, I think it was more prominent. It was more newsworthy information. So I think that, with being home so much, people were more willing to try it. Like, hey, we're home all the time anyway. Let's just give it a try.
Well, reading, research, CBD, THC, moms, because CBD is so now, mainstream and it's in everything that, cosmetics and all that stuff. So that was an entry to now THC. So you
but
can see more and more moms like being more introduced, maybe we've gotten reached out by moms, talking to us, listening to the show, just asking us questions and super excited about learning and growing. It's just different.
Yeah, I just don't think that it's completely accepted.
No,
I mean, even
no,
as a parent
no.
of adult children.
Remember SNL?
And I have
Remember
what?
SNL, the church lady who's Satan?
Satan?
There's probably still plenty of moms out there that still think reefer madness exists.
But even for people who don't think it's like, Satan's grass or the devil's lettuce, whatever.
Devil's lettuce.
Even for people who
I
are
smoke
just
it every day.
like your average, like biased mentality about cannabis, that it's bad, it's going to lead you to doing more drugs, you're going to be lazy and be a loser.
Because it was drilled in their head for so long.
Well, okay, so those people now can still create a challenge for some, but I think some of them are getting educated, whether it's their children now educating them or just the news and the media, they're getting their mind around it. But there's always still that stigma. And I think that when I was raising our children, if I had discovered cannabis and realized how helpful and beneficial it is, I would have probably never disclosed that to anybody.
Right.
Because I would have been judged. Like
if
you make any mistake, you say you use cannabis and you vocalize and you very much talk about the fact that you use cannabis. Any mistake you make, a non-believer of cannabis or a non-understander of cannabis will say, you made the mistake.
A non-educated person on
You
cannabis.
made the mistake because you smoke weed.
Right.
But if you smoked alcohol and you made
alcohol?
a mistake,
Since when can we smoke alcohol?
If you consumed alcohol and people knowingly knew that you really enjoyed your drink, but you made mistakes, you would not immediately get that finger pointed at you that it was alcohol that did it.
True. Yeah.
So
I mean,
I look forward to the day that changes.
We've seen it.
Yeah.
I mean,
So I think this is super cool that there's this platform, Moms for Mary. It's a blog and a nice social network for moms who believe in it.
Go moms.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. Check it out.
THC breathalyzers may be coming soon to police stations and workplaces. There's a company making them. This is from High Times Magazine. So I thought this was really interesting to let you all know that they've been in development for years. One of the companies is called Hound Marijuana Breathalyzer, which can detect the presence of THC molecules in the breath. And they are already starting to commercially sell it. It'll be in the hands of the police and in certain states and I guess companies by the spring.
But doesn't THC... Well, maybe it doesn't stay in your breath. It stays in your blood for a couple weeks, right?
You get it out of your hair.
Your hair.
You can get out of your urine, blood.
But out of your breath, I wonder if it has to be like...
Probably just really introducibly smoked.
Yeah,
so
that's cool.
The introduction of the Hound breathalyzer could really shake things up for law enforcement, motorists, employees, and cannabis users. It's different from other drug tests because it can test whether the person's currently high as measured by the presence of THC molecules in the breath. The developers of Hound believe the THC molecules linger in the breath for up to 4 hours after smoking. This is different from a urine test, which shows whether the person has used cannabis or other drugs within the last couple of weeks or so. They could be sober during the test but still fail. That's the urine test and all that stuff.
Okay.
An employer might not care if the employee smoked pot last week, but they might want to know if their employees are getting stoned on the job. If employees legally smoke cannabis at a barbecue on Saturday night and their employees test the breath to work on Monday morning, the breath test will be negative. That's what they said. The device is a bit different from alcohol breathalyzers, which measure the blood alcohol level of drivers, enabling police officers to determine whether the driver has reached or exceeded the threshold of intoxication. The Hound does not measure how stoned a person is. It all does. So, see, this is bullshit because if it's just going to just say that you have THC in your breath, you could have smoked THC 4 hours ago and not be high anymore.
And not be high anymore. It's kind of, yeah.
So this is bad. So that means now states are going to have to get involved in this to put a state standard of how high, just like blood alcohol level.
Right.
I mean, I've driven with people that can smoke and smoke all day and all night.
And I've been around plenty of people that I know.
I've driven with people, and they've driven 100% better than me driving sober.
And I've been around people who are smoking, and I know are like wake and bakers and all-day smokers, and you would not know that they were.
Right.
Never.
100%.
Not at all.
There's other companies developing these breathalyzers. It's going to change the landscape. The whole thing is, though, that I think this is total bullshit. If it's only detecting whether you have THC on your breath is bullshit because, like I said, at that 3 hours and 59 minutes and 59 seconds, if that test still showed breath, If you smoked, showed on your breath 4 hours ago,
I like that.
that's bullshit. I think that's total horseshit, and I think this is going to cause some really. I think we all, as a cannabis community, needs to go to our state representatives to start showing up in police cars to get tested, and at work sites, there needs to be standards then of what is being too high. I feel I'm never too high, so I mean, screw this test. So screw you.
What do they freaking know?
They don't know shit.
They don't know anything.
So, Lil Wayne Inc.'s deal to bring 420 parties to LA Coliseum, which is his brand, his cannabis brand, Gakua, I think it's called, GKUA, Gakua, the cannabis lifestyle brand founded by hip-hop star Lil Wayne, announced on Wednesday that it has entered into an exclusive agreement with the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum to host 420 celebrations at the famed venue for a foreseeable future. Widely celebrated as the cannabis community, High Holiday April 420 has become known world over for activism, cannabis-fueled parties, and other events held to pay homage to the herb. So this is cool. So good for Lil Wayne. In addition, Lil Wayne, who claimed the hashtag 69 spot on the 2012 Forbes Celebrity 100, fans can expect Uproar to deliver a lineup that reflects collaborations and relationships in the hip-hop icon's decade-long career, according to the statement. The event will also include a selection of interactive experiences of both in-person attendees and worldwide streaming audiences. That's cool. I like Lil Wayne. I think his music is awesome. So, and hopefully he gets this done, starts bringing some cool-ass parties, and especially in L.A. and in California, and being able to throw these kind of parties, which were discouraged. I mean, we do underground parties, and we still get, are kind of nervous about getting busted. So this is cool that he's going to get, probably get some city approval for this, and as long as everybody's safe and it's done right, I'm all for it. Go with Lil Wayne. Also, another big hip hop star that I enjoyed listening to for many, many years, especially coming from the club scene and working in that industry for a long time. Rest in peace, DMX. Rough Riders, go wherever you are around the world. So DMX, rest in peace. Mrs. WeedMan, you got anything else to say? I've been baked this whole show. Damn it.
I have to say that weed takes you through a variety of feelings. I was on quite the roller coaster ride. I think I visited every emotion that I have during this episode.
I'm glad you didn't cry.
There was a moment. It almost happened. And I couldn't have told you at that time why. But, I went there for a second.
And went?
Yeah, I'm good. I was like, get a grip, Mrs. WeedMan.
Get that grip, girl.
Get a grip.
Get that grip.
So it's all good, though.
Well, good.
But it really took me everywhere. And I thought for a minute, I was like, oh, it might be nice just lay down. I'm sure I could still do the show if I lay down. I'm not really tired, but I could lay down. And I was like, oh, no, wait, I can't do that. And then I was like, well, no, I'm not really sleepy. I'm really wide awake, but my body just feels like pudding. And then I wandered off. I don't know where. I had some talks in my brain while you were talking.
Remember pudding pops?
Oh my God, the vanilla pudding
Oh
pops.
God, unbelievable.
They're unfindable. There's
can't
no
get
such
it.
thing anymore.
If someone could send me a box of vanilla pudding pops and chocolate pudding pops, I'd
They're
love it
not
forever.
the same as a fudgesicle.
No,
so don't
pudding
try
pops.
to compare.
Oh, you know what we got in the freezer?
Yellow pudding pops.
What do we got in the
Strawberry shortcake.
We
good,
got-
good humor.
Guess what we're eating after the show?
We're gonna have one.
Yeah. Oh, fuck yeah, we're gonna
Yeah.
have one.
This is good. This is good. Now it's munchie time.
Munchie time. Hey
Okay.
everyone, thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of this show with us across the world. We love you all. Don't forget, check us out on WeedMan 420 Chronicles on our Insta, Twitter, WeedMan 420 Pod. Send us an email at WeedMan420Chronicles@gmail.com. And we answer everything we possibly can. We love you all. You send us a DM or an email, maybe you'll get some stickers from us.
We'll try.
We'll try to do our best. But we love you all. Thanks for listening so very, very, very much. Be kind to everybody out there. As Paulie always says, smoke smart. Puff, puffing away.
Puff, puff, pass.